I don't have a lot of time for hot takes this morning as I record this morning on Tuesday morning, but I do want to put in the two quick bits we had in things you might have heard for Donald Trump because they do show, one, my Trump derangement syndrome is still very much high, and two, some things that don't quite jive in the way President Trump is thinking and the way the administration is working and how the rest of us sort of think in what we think is reality. Maybe we're all in the wrong realities. First off was the Tylenol thing. Tylenol and vaccines tied to autism. At a White House event last night, President Trump suggested that acetaminophen, which is the active ingredient in Tylenol, use in pregnancy is what is being charged with, along with routine vaccines, are what causing autism in children. Major health agencies researchers say there is no proven link between the two, vaccines or autism to this thing, or Tylenol to autism as well. But the evidence on non-acetaminophen is also not conclusive. If you want to go deeper into the headlines, go deeper into the stories, click on links getting deeper into that. But basically, Tylenol is the safest thing that pregnant women can be prescribed for fevers to make sure there's nothing worse going on. There's no infections, no other things going on, or for dealing with pain, and low doses only when necessary. So we're not saying take it all you want to, but low doses of this is good for women who are pregnant going forward. The problem is the studies also show that by use, the chloration and the causation, less women are reporting to use Tylenol in their routines while pregnant than they are 10 years ago when the studies basically got started. So it really doesn't say more people using Tylenol means more autism, because more autism being diagnosed and less women are using Tylenol. Also vaccines, which is something that most doctors are saying is not what's causing autism. However, it's still what's rampant out there in the whatever sphere you want to fall in there. Reporters also pointed out that they're reviving the debunked claims on the Tylenol and the actual vaccines are counterintuitive, because all it does is basically bring up the conversation back and forth for people who want to argue the fact that they are right about vaccines and maybe now Tylenol. Official studies say there's no real effect going forward for either of these. They say there's no real proof for this, but Dr. Oz and RFK Jr., sorry, wrong guy, and of course Donald Trump had this announcement. Of course, Trump teased it on Sunday at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, which meant something had to be said. He basically said what was going to be said, and now we have it. It's Tylenol. Tylenol is the cause for autism, so don't take it. Don't give it to your kids. Get rid of it. The stock price for the company that makes Tylenol, of course, went all kind of aflutter yesterday. We'll see if they can revive what's going over and whether Trump really wants something from them for some reason. In the meantime, he also signed an executive order, which he signs a lot of, but he signed one that directed agencies to treat Antifa as a domestic terrorist group. Now, this is sort of interesting, also the way that my robot editor put it there, because Antifa is in small letters, not a capitalized word, not all bold. It's Antifa. It's a thought process. It's a movement that is not so much a movement. It's not Al-Qaeda, where people are in charge of things. It's not even a domestic terrorism group here in the States, which is hard to describe because it's not a group of people who are led by someone, have training, have some sort of uniformity thought process, even not uniform. Antifa are people who claim to be anti-fascist, which is not necessarily fine. It's not necessarily great, but it's based on the fact that Antifa is thrown around a lot about Antifa riots, Antifa organizations, Antifa protesters, but they're basically just people who show up who say, I have an idea, let's just sort of hang out because they're out here together. They're not very well organized. In fact, there is no organization. There is no actual hierarchy for Antifa. There's not a Antifa head who's out there calling shots and making sure people are doing things in a manner that actually can cause damage. They're just random people who have random thoughts and come together when randomness happens. So the symbolic fight against Antifa is a fight against nothing. It's not Al-Qaeda. It's not the Taliban. They may not wear uniforms themselves, but they have plans. They have plots. They raise money. They go out there and they actively go out there to recruit people into the organization. They're an Amway of terrorism, if you will. Antifa is more like a flash mob of terrorism where things pop up, and what they're actually fighting for, a bit nebulous, not exactly well defined. It is kind of odd as it is, but Donald Trump has to blame someone. So Antifa is a nice, easy person to blame because Antifa is not a person. It's a thought process that's hard to define. So Antifa is your blanket blame for everything. It's them people. It's those guys. Antifa and the radical left gets a lot of blame for Charlie Kirk and his assassination, where it's basically one guy who went crazy over one idea. and we still don't really know what's going on because he's not talking about it, at least not coherently right now. So, two Trump things that happened on Monday the 22nd. Today's the 23rd of Tuesday. We may deal with the rapture in the next 48 hours. It's a whole nother story. Just look for the hot takes. We'll make a hot take on that one, assuming that I'm wrong and the rapture, or assuming that I'm right and the rapture doesn't happen, or that I'm wrong, it happens, and I'm talking to whoever's left on the earth. I guess that will happen. That we'll deal with on Thursday because we have 2 days to see if the rapture happens. If there's no rapture, we still will have Donald Trump to talk about, contend with his policies, his thoughts, his whims, and what goes on. Your thoughts on his policies, his thoughts, his whims, and whether I am right, I am wrong, or maybe I should or should not be raptured in the next 48 hours. Go for it.